know she got something front. You know you gotta face the fact. Kiss your hand, kiss the canvas. Love you till the sky, baby. I'm gonna I'll show you what to do.
I think I got stuck.
Is it back there?
Big ball.
I'll get it. I'm changing my.
Okay. Oh, crap. Oh. That's a really hard move for me.
You shouldn't do it then.
Well, I would like to. Here, I'm redeeming myself.
I like the leg in the air. That really helps.
It pulls though.
She's just gonna throw it up underneath the thing again.
I know, but that's what I'm teaching her. Here, it will roll and oh. Okay. Roll it. Push it with your nose. I think she's smart enough to figure it out. There you go, good girl. Yay! Ow, ow. Every time I think I'm back to normal.
All right, I gotta do this before I lose my light.
I don't care what.
Before you're on the roof again.
Of what? Oh, great.
Oh, she'll be there. Yeah, she'll knock you down. If you wanna go on to Queer Street, away from every side.
Where do we start? Me and cars. How did I get to work on cars? That's a weird question. I'm so glad you asked. Well, I suppose it's actually kind of a long story. I'll see if I can condense it a little bit. Probably initially it was out of necessity, believe it or not. So when I turned 16, my dad said I was welcome to drive his father, my grandfather's old pickup truck. And it was a 78 Ford F100. Had a 302 automatic transmission, and the heat didn't work. It never did work. I'm not sure why I never fixed it. I guess I didn't care enough about it to fix it. I probably should have. I wish I had that truck now. It'd be a nice truck. I did a little bit of work on that thing because it kept blowing oil pumps. It had junk in the oil, I guess. And it kept locking up the oil pump, and in that car there's a shaft that drives the oil pump that also drives the distributor. So every time you lock up the oil pump, it takes the distributor drive shaft and makes it into a corkscrew, which is not particularly kind of annoying. So you can't just replace the oil pump. You have to like take the distributor out and replace the drive shaft and all this kind of business. By the way, let's talk about safety when you're underneath the car. You should never be underneath a car with only one form of lift to get the car up off the ground. I have a jack over here. You saw me jack the car up. But I also have a block underneath the wheel. So if it falls off the jack, it's not going to fall far, maybe an inch or two. And then there's a block behind the wheel. The block behind the wheel is just to back up the emergency brake, which is on. And I blocked the wheel opposite the jack, because when the jack is when this left side of the car is in the air, if I put the block behind the left wheel, it's not going to do that much good because the left wheel is almost off the ground. So none of that like was just accident. That was all well thought out, and I'm very safe. Anyway, time to drain the oil. So that brings me to Volkswagens. So I saved up a little bit of money. I wanted to buy my own car, and I had a couple at church who had owned a Volkswagen. They had a 1969 Volkswagen Beetle that had some structural damage. They had a retaining wall near their house, and the retaining wall fell and crushed the front of the car. So even though it had some damage, it was all there and it was in good shape. The rest of it was. It needed paint, but whatever. And so I bought that car for $500. The other part of the equation is that my grandfather, who taught me most of what I know about working on cars, owned one in the 60s, early 60s. He had a 66, I think it was, because it had a 1.3 liter engine, or what Volkswagen people call a 1300. So anyway, he had one of those, and he had lots of metric tools. And when I bought the Beetle, he gave them to me. Actually, one of them is this one right here. This is a 13-15 combination box end wrench, or I guess not a combination, a box end wrench. And with this wrench, you can take apart almost all of a Volkswagen. But in this case, I think I'm just going to take this bolt off the bottom of my oil pan in my Fiat. There we go. Where you at? Where you going?
I gotta go to Staples to get this ink, remember? I'll be back. Hopefully it won't take me forever. Will's inside.
Hey, first try.
Okay?
Yeah, I'm talking to myself.
Okay.
Where does that bring us to? I've got to take the air cleaner off, by the way. You have to take the air cleaner off to get to the oil filter. Seems silly, the way these cars are made. There's no space wasted. Oh, a little health update. So, I was trying to lose weight, as I told you guys. The other day I stepped on the scale, weighed 201. So almost 10 pounds down. That was kind of bad the last couple days. I gained a couple pounds again. Alright, one more. There we go. Filter out. Okay, next goal is I have to get that part right there out. That is the oil filter. You see it's got a big plug on top of it to help you get it out. Okay. Alright, well, got the oil filter. Here's something that's a little unique. The filter on this car isn't like a big metal can like you're familiar with. Ooh, shit. It's actually just a paper filter that goes in a plastic cup. Just kind of cool. I got oil all down the front of my car now. I'm gonna take this over there and do this. Alright, new filter installed with new O-ring. It appears I ran out of card and daylight pretty much simultaneously. And I have oil running all down the front of my car. Alright, well, filter's back on. I'm going to put the air cleaner back on. Really wish I had another air cleaner, but it's probably about time for one. I wonder if I should check it. I wonder if it's... Oh, it ain't too bad. Making my second There we go. Pigeon cover. And it just drops in. First things first, and that is the drain plug. So if you forget to put this in when you dump oil in the top, it will run out the bottom. You want to put these on snug, but you don't want to go crazy with it because you can strip it. And the oil pan here, it looks like it's aluminum. Put oil in my car. This will be my last statement. I talked about Volkswagens. I didn't get to talk about Fiats very much. The one thing that I've noticed about both those cars is they've got so much personality from day to day, and it sounds crazy if to anybody who drives like a what I'd call a normal car. You know, Honda, and they make great cars. My wife has one, my mother's owned several. They make unbelievable cars. You get into a Honda and it is the same every day. You know, and their engineers want it to be that way. You want consistent performance. Not just the way it drives, but the way it feels, everything. But both, you know, old air-cooled Volkswagens, and it's probably got a lot to do with the fact that they're old, but even after being rebuilt, they're never the same every day, and this thing's not either. Some days you get in it and it drives fine, absolutely fine, and then some days you get in it and it just feels like it really wants to go. And that's what I appreciate about this car. This is never really the same thing. It never runs bad, just different. You know, with different air temperature and whether or not it needs an oil change or... I'm not one of those guys who names their cars. I've never been that guy. I don't think they have a mind of their own or anything ridiculous like that. It's just all of the... They're always just more than the sum of their parts. And this car is definitely that way for me. Just like my old air-cooleds were. There was only an air-cooled that had an Italian body and a standard air-cooled Volkswagen engine. That would be something.
Before you're on the ropes again.